All set.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Whitman Zoning Board of Appeals for Monday, March 8th. Just so everyone knows, this meeting is being recorded. It's being done via Zoom, and it's being recorded by Whitman Hanson Cable Access. So we'll open with case number 3. Location of property, 7 Victoria Drive. Type of district, residence A2. Type of structure, existing. Owner's name, Donna Carey and Robert Carey. Owner's address, 7 Victoria Drive. When did you acquire this property? October 2020. Has application been filed with town clerk? Yes. Has any previous appeal been made? No. Section of bylaw of which relief is requested in section 6-6. Reason for asking relief: proposed to finish the basement for an apartment for owner Donna Carey to reside, thus seeking a special permit. This case was advertised in the Whitman Hanson Express on February 18th and February 25th. Sitting on the case will be Wayne Andrews, Robert Keeman, Fred Gilmetti, Richard Blas, and myself, John Goldrosen. At this time, we'll have the reading of the list of abutters. Mr. Blas, do you have that?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you. The following is a list of parties of interest in accordance with the requirements of the State Zoning Act for the property located at 7 Victoria Drive, book 53738, page 1. Abigail and James Markowski, Cornelius and Valida Paulding, Kenneth Farrell, Larry and Edith Paglia, Robert and Kim Perry, Susan B. Barassa Irrevocable Trust, Stacy Ann and Donald Bowden, Helena Drass, Michael and Julie Cataldo, AET Realty Trust, Peter and Anne Marie Riccarelli, Alex and Barbara Conduri, Michael and Linda Evans, Philip and Mary Krager, Francis and Karen McWilliams, Margaret and David Scott, Dominic Varasso, Lynn Chrisman. So,
thank you. We'll proceed. We'll have the applicant explain what they want to do. Then we'll have questions. I have a couple of letters from town boards that I'll read into the record. We'll have questions from members of the zoning board, and then we'll go out to the public for your comments and questions. I am going to put Ms. Carey, I'm going to put the documents, the plan, and let me believe this will be it. Okay, let me move down to the, okay, and let me go a little smaller. Okay, can everybody see the plan on the screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and just to explain, the plan that I received was like double sized. So I made a copy of the section of the plan that shows the property, but we did receive a plan that showed surrounding properties as well. But I think given the nature of the application, I think this will be sufficient. And I also have on the next page, oops, I think it's a diagram of what they propose to do, but let me go back to the site plan for now. And Ms. Carey, do you want to explain what the property is like right now and what you want to do with it? Go right ahead.
I just want to build an apartment downstairs. With
Okay. So what is the house like now? What, how many is it?
It's a single level, 2-bedroom, with 2 living rooms, a kitchen, and a dining room. And what we're trying to do, and a garage, and what we're trying to do is in the basement, finish the basement into a full-fledged in-law apartment, which would be a bathroom, living space and kitchen, and a bedroom.
Okay. And who would be living upstairs and who downstairs when this is done?
I would be living upstairs, and my mother, Donna, would be living downstairs.
Okay. And it looks like on the plan, you're proposing to expand the driveway. That's just to highlight this. Is that would be in addition to the driveway?
You just typed something and I'm hitting enter and it's not.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, I haven't done that. I don't know. That was an idea. I'm not sure why that's there. I don't,
Trying to type.
as of right now, I just had a dumpster on my grass right there.
Okay.
But I don't know if I'm going to extend the driveway right as of right
I'm trying
now.
to say.
How many parking
There's nothing
spaces?
there. He just typed something. Those are the words.
I'm sorry, we're getting somebody.
John,
speaking.
this is the contractor.
Yes.
He's typing in the chat
Oh.
and
all right.
also they're speaking. So that's the contractor.
Okay, we can hear you, so, and.
Hi, guys. If you can hear me, sorry about that. I was having computer problems, but
Yep.
I'm present. You just may not be able to see me.
Okay, yeah, we cannot see you, but we can hear you, and that's probably more important, so.
Okay, all right. All right, very good. So would you like me to just talk through this application so I can clarify any details that you might have?
Let me just, I have another couple of questions for the Carries, and then maybe you can give us more details about what the construction will involve. So how many parking spaces are in the existing driveway?
So there's one parking space in the garage. It's an oversized one-car garage. And then there's space for 4 additional parking spaces in the driveway.
All right, so we'll discuss it with the board, but I don't think there isn't a need to expand the driveway unless, you wish to do so. I'll ask Mr. Curran for his opinion when we're done with your presentation too. Okay, Mr. Reardon, do you want to maybe explain what would go on, and I can put up this here, and let me see if I can turn this around so it's a little easier.
So let me just start by introducing myself. Jack
Yes.
Reardon. I'm with New Homes Inc. My office is 82 Temple Street in Whitman. And I'm speaking on Donna and Rob's behalf. They are the owners of the property. So the application is with respect to the request for an accessory apartment in the single-family dwelling, as you know. So what we have is a 1,650 square foot ranch style building with a full basement. So the request and the plans are to put the in-law apartment in the basement. We can comply with all the regulations in your bylaw. Specifically, we have no changes, by the way, to the exterior front or side elevations. The separate entranceway is in the rear of the building that will get you into the basement. There's also a common entranceway in the garage, so you can get into both the in-law apartment in the basement and the house from the garage. So we can meet all the building regulations. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you're aware that we did apply for a building permit, which was granted. We constructed the apartment with the exception of the kitchen. So Bob and I had discussed all the details, and his condition was that we could go forward with the construction, however, that we could not build the kitchen until such time as we were granted the special permit. So we are well underway for this additional living space in the basement, and we can comply with all building rules and regulations to do that. So
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so I just, yeah, so as far as any other regulations, there are a couple details in your rules and regs for the special permit that don't apply here. Anything that does apply, we can comply with. And if you need me to give you any other specific answers, I can gladly do so. But the request is fairly straightforward and simple. In-law apartment in the basement. We meet all the rules and regs. In this case, it just so happens that the two owners will cohabitate in the building. The son will be on the first floor and the mom will be in the in-law apartment in the basement.
Okay, and maybe I didn't catch it. Is there any, the exit, go over again what the exits are from the basement?
Yep, so two means of egress from the basement. One is in the rear of the building, there was a pre-existing bulkhead.
Okay,
We created a doghouse structure over that egress. So that's like a nice egress directly into the backyard. There's also an egress.
is that this one here where my cursor is over?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly. Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
that one. And then you have the second, the common original means of egress and entrance from the garage. So if you were in the garage, you could go directly down into the basement or up into the house, into the
Okay.
first of the house.
And if you could just go over again, how many, I was trying to turn this sideways and I haven't figured out how. So you have a bedroom here, is that right?
Right, right. So
And,
yeah,
living
got it.
room,
yes,
it's the bathroom
Bath.
there. And this is,
Yeah,
that's the
so-
utility room. And this
Yep.
is,
yep, there's your kitchen,
it's the kitchen area here?
correct.
Okay, all right.
So,
Okay,
yeah, so it's a nice common one bedroom style apartment.
all right. Okay. Mr., if people are okay, I'm gonna get back so we can, I'm gonna leave the images, but we can go back to them if we need to. But just so we can, it's just easier to see everybody. Mr. Curran, any comments from you on this?
John, no, I did issue a building permit for finishing the basement with the exception of the kitchen until this hearing took place.
Okay. All right, before we go to questions from the board, I have a couple of letters to read into the record. From the Board of Health, the Whitman Board of Health has no objection to the petition of Donna and Robert Carey for a special permit for an accessory apartment to the property located at 7 Victoria Drive. As the DPW billing records indicate, this building is connected to municipal sewer and water. Sincerely, Mary Kelly, clerk. And from the Planning Board at the January 26, 2021 meeting, the board reviewed the plan for 7 Victoria Drive. The Planning Board has no recommendation at this time due to lack of information in regards to what the applicant is asking for. The board also suggests the Board of Appeals obtain additional information from the applicant before making a recommendation. Signed, Adam Somerville, Chairman. All right, questions from members of the board. Mr. Keeman?
I have no questions.
All right. Mr. Blas?
Just no questions, but I do wait to see what the comments the Riccarellis have to say.
Okay. Mr. Andrews?
I took a ride by the property yesterday and I have no problems with what they want to do, but I do have two comments about the site plan. The site plan does not have the signature or stamp of an engineer, or if it's not dated, it doesn't have the abutting driveway shown on it. But I have no problem with what the applicant wants to do. I think it looks like a good project.
Yeah. And Mr. Andrews, the plan that I sent out to everybody, and I can't recall if Carol had sent me the full plan and I mailed it to her without copying the whole thing. Anyway, it's what I sent out to everybody is not the complete plan. I had like an 11 by 17, so I couldn't easily copy it. And so I don't recall what was on there originally, but what you're seeing is only half of what was sent to us. So
Okay.
I copied the section that had the property on it.
Right. The only other question I had was the abutting driveways weren't shown.
Right.
Mr. Goldrosen, if I may,
Yes.
I've got a copy of the full plan sitting in front of me, and it does show the 3 abutting houses and their driveways.
Okay.
It's got a stamp of the engineer. It's probably one of the better plans I've seen. And
It looks like a good plan, yeah.
Is that a Kyle Garvey plan?
it's a Garvey plan, and it's got
Okay.
everything that you will need.
Okay,
Okay, that's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
okay. Mr. Gilmetti, anything?
Yes, I want to take up what Wayne was saying, that we require a stamp plan by a registered land surveyor. Right now, this plan here is taken off a subdivision plan. This house location is off a subdivision plan. We do not have an as-built by a registered land surveyor showing us that corner is so close to that easement. You understand what I'm saying, John? Wayne will back me up on that one. This is a subdivision plan.
Yep.
Mr. Reardon should know that. He should have read our rules and regs. That we require a stamp.
Can I make a comment?
Well, let me, Fred, so the plan was prepared by Kyle Garvey.
Yeah, but this is not where the house is. We don't know if the house is there or not, John. How can I vote on that?
Mr. Curran?
This shows,
I'm-
this plan shows the house when it was proposed to the planning board. This is not an as-built. There's nothing stamped on here, John. If we approve something that's not halfway, but encroaches in on the easement, we need an up-to-date plan showing the house where it is, and it's so close to that easement. How can we even vote on it?
Can I interject?
Go ahead, Mr. Reardon.
Yeah, especially since Mr. Gilmetti referenced me, and with respect to my knowledge, we do have an as-built as a part of the application. It was done by Carl Garvey. It should be dated somewhere recently, within the last 2 months when the application was made. It was an as-built that he did. That was part of the application. I'm not sure.
Why wasn't it submitted?
I'm not sure what you're looking at, but it was.
I'm looking at a subdivision. I'm looking at a portion of a subdivision plan showing that house. You know what I'm talking about. When you get a subdivision plan, it shows the house on the property with dimensions and everything else. But this,
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Mr. Curran, can you, and again,
Yeah,
I apologize to
Fred.
people, maybe I should have sent out the entire thing, but I just figured,
Yeah, Fred, you just have a small section of the plan that was submitted. I've got a full copy of the plan in front of me, and it's a survey that was done in 2021 by Carl Garvey. Yeah, and what you've got, Fred, is you just got a picture of a part of that plan. John, I just sent you I text you a copy of the plan. I took a picture from my home. I don't know if you can find that and put that on, but Fred, it is a good plan. It's a survey. It's not a subdivision plan.
well, this plan here is part of the.
Yeah, it's because you've got
Yeah.
a small picture of the plan that was submitted.
yeah. Bob, I now have it on my phone. I have no idea how I could put this.
Yeah,
I can't, John, I'll tell you right now, I can't vote on it because I don't know where that house is. Right now, I don't know where that house is.
Well,
Yeah, you need
just again, to explain, Fred, the second half of the plan, you only have half of the plan, the right-hand half of the plan. The left-hand half has the legend, it has Kyle Garvey's stamp on it, et cetera. So, and this may be my fault. I thought, since there's no addition being made to the house itself, no construction to the exterior, I thought it would be sufficient to send you what we had, and I didn't have an easy way to reduce it. So.
Can I point out another thing? Can I point
yes,
out
go
one more
ahead,
thing?
Mr. Reardon.
Yeah, I may be wrong on the number, but I believe we submitted 8 full copies of this site plan. It's dated January 11th, 2021, stamped by Carl Garvey. It's about 18 inches by 24 inches. So I know that those documents were submitted with the application.
Yeah, and I can say for the record, Mr. Curran has texted me a copy and it's on my phone.
Mr. Chairman.
This is the the disadvantage of Zoom, okay? If we were all in a room together, we'd have the plan right in front of us and we wouldn't issue the face this question. Mr. Andrews?
I was just gonna say, once we get back to open meetings, we'll have the whole plans there.
Yeah,
So this obviously was just all that could be put on the computer.
yeah. But Fred,
Mr. Chairman, in the future, I will scan, I have a large scanner. I can scan you a PDF copy of this file. That'd make it a lot easier for you.
yeah, and some other cases, I've asked the person who created the plan to send a reduced size copy. My fault, I didn't ask in this instance simply because there was no addition being made to the exterior, so I didn't expect that, that issue to come up.
Yeah,
But,
I will accommodate whatever I can do. I'm in the office every day, so I can knock stuff out to you.
yeah. So, Mr. Gometti, anything else?
No, John, I just can't, I'm surprised that the builder, if he went to another town, they'd throw this out.
Well, again, Mr. Gometti, I guess I'll disagree. I think this is what we've got in other instances.
Okay, John, I mean, you're in the legal end of it, but I'm in the other end of it. And I know that if I went to another town or a planning board, they want to see a stamped plan.
Well, again,
That appeals board emphasized that to me years and years ago.
again, Mr. Gometti, we have it. The plan is stamped. It's just you're only seeing half of the plan.
Yeah, but that was stamped when it was approved for a subdivision.
No, the plan we
There's
have.
no as-built here.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Fred,
Yes.
I just sent you a copy of the plan on your cell phone. Can you see text messages on your cell phone?
81 years old.
I know. I just sent you a picture of the plan that I've got sitting in front of me. So the plan is good, Fred. It's
Can you
just.
hold it up?
I can hold it up.
Yeah, why don't you talk?
Let me turn the lights on bright. Does that look any better?
That's the subdivision plan.
No,
It's not
that's,
the
that's,
as-built plan.
yeah, no, there's the lot right there. It's an as-built.
I see it. Is
You
an
see it?
as-built, where are the
Look at-
dimensions, Bobby?
It shows the driveways. It shows the neighbors and their names. When this subdivision was created, there was no owners of those lots, and now it's the current owners. So that's the plan, and I think it's more than sufficient. There's the stamp. And look at the date, Fred. January
Okay,
2020.
you received, in order to issue a permit, you require an as-built plan.
Yeah,
Does that
this is,
exist?
this is a good plan. See it?
And I assume, Mr. Curran, you also got plans for the basement before you issued the building permit, correct?
I would need a survey plan for the basement permit, except
Right.
for the doghouse that they added, and I did review that.
All right. All right, Mr. Gometti, I'm gonna move on.
Okay, I'm just telling you, John, any other town, a building so close to an easement would require a survey plan.
All right.
Because you're only trying to protect the people. Because when an attorney, as you know, picks this up on when he's searching title, and he sees this thing so close, suppose they're encroaching, that would hold up the whole closing. All right,
Okay,
that's not enough.
all right. And my only comment before we go to the public is just, it's nice to, well, two comments. First of all, to the carries, I always make sure to explain to applicants for these in-law special permits that it can only remind you that it can only be used for a family member. If that, living situation should change, you would not be able to rent out the downstairs for an apartment. And when the property is sold, the new owner has to come in and ask again for a special permit. So, to some extent, it can, can affect the value of your property to have it in there, but obviously you're doing it. My other comment, I guess, to the whole board, I think the board will agree, is we get lots of requests for in-law apartments that involve additions to the property. And it's nice to see one that actually involves converting part of the existing property. That's, I think, what the original intent of the in-law apartment bylaw is for. So, while others may also meet the terms of the bylaw, this is a classic case of meeting the terms of the bylaw as long as you have sufficient parking and sufficient exits from the unit, and you're not changing the exterior, especially the front exterior of the building in any way. I don't have any problems with it. So let me go now to the Riccarellis. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
Riccarellis.
Like Richarelli. We're really rich.
Riccarellis. Okay. Could you let us know where you live and what your comment is? Is there anything, questions?
We live at 8 Victoria Drive, so we live directly across from him. And we actually have no concerns. We just checking to see if anything was changing, because we do have that easement right between us that goes back towards like the Perrys. I don't remember the street name, Fieldstone. But no, we have no issues.
Okay, thank you. Anything further from members of the board? Any further comments? Mr. Blas, did you have anything further?
None whatsoever. This is, as you said, John, I echo everything, all comments that you just made.
Okay. All right, then I'm going to close the hearing.
John, really quick, have you
Yeah.
addressed Ann Colby in the attendees list? I'm not sure if that's in a butter or if that's somebody for the next.
It's probably for the next case, because she wasn't on. Let's see, Mr. Blas of the Colby.
Colby, I'm looking right now. No, there is no Colby on the list of abutters from case number 3.
And I'm just going to double check the list for the next case. Well, I don't see him on the,
No, they're not on the next case
Yeah.
either.
yeah. Let me just for safety's sake, let me just check in with Ann Colby. Ms. Colby, can you hear us? Are you here for the Victoria Drive case or for Washington Terrace?
Washington Terrace.
Okay, so that's the next case. So if you can just hold on, we're still wrapping up the Victoria Drive case. Okay. So I'm just going to mute you there, I think. Okay. I think any further comments on the pending case, the Victoria Drive case? With that, I'll close the hearing and entertain a motion from a member of the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the request for the special permit with no conditions.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, moved by Mr. Blas and seconded by Mr. Andrews. I'll take a vote of the board. Mr. Keeman,
Yes.
Mr. Blas,
Yes,
Mr. Andrews,
Yes,
Mr. Gilmetti,
No,
and myself, John Goldrosen, yes. So it's approved on a 4-to-1 vote. And it'll take us a couple weeks to get the decision out, but Carol O'Brien will get a copy of the decision to the Carries. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're here for that case, and thank you, Mr. Reardon, as well.
Thank you.
You all
Night,
can
you guys.
drop off,
Night.
and we'll go on to the next case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
hey, John, before we move on to the next case, a question for you, zoning question. I had seen something or heard something that there might be some new regulations regarding zoning board, local zoning boards, and majority, needing only a majority ruling rather than a super majority, like we need 4 votes rather than 3 votes. Have you heard anything about
Yeah,
that?
what that involves is part of the recent legislation, which was designed to make it easier to both rezone areas for multifamily and also to approve multifamily permits. There are some things that will no longer require a supermajority vote, but can pass with a majority vote. But those will be kind of special project kind of things, not anything routine. It'll all be related to housing, but it'll have to be like affordable housing and just.
Okay, so it's not a,
So nothing that.
it's not across the board. Okay.
Not across the board. The one thing that will affect us that the town is going to have to consider is that there's special state grants and funding that are only going to be available, not immediately, but some, maybe within the next year, to communities that have a zone that allows for multifamily housing if the community has an MBTA station, which we do. So if we can, get our act together, we ought to be looking at rezoning some of the area in proximity to the train station, which since, we've talked about some of the old buildings down there potentially being multifamily, that's, would be something we'd probably support anyway. But that's, the state still has to issue guidelines as to how big such a zoning area would have to be, zoning district would have to be, and various things. And in the meantime, they're not going to implement any of these funding guidelines. And I don't even know what the funding involves. So, but anyway, that's one change that'll come down the line.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's see, I got to move this person over. Let's see, Ms. Colby, if you can unmute yourself and also put yourself on video. By opening your video, I can see the Bonos. Okay, and 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay, there she is. Okay. So let me first ask, Mr. and Ms. Bono, you're abutters to the 270 Washington Terrace, is that correct?
That's correct. We live across the street.
Yeah, and Ms. Colby, what's your situation?
I also live on Washington Terrace. I live a little bit further down. I'm
Okay.
just
All right.
as what
The reason-
type.
Okay, the reason I ask is I just want to make sure we don't have the applicant here. We received a call that the applicant is ill, and so we're probably going to continue this. But let me, I'm going to open the meeting up, see what the board wants to do, and just wanted to alert you to that. Okay, let me call this case to order. This is case number 4. Is that correct, Carol?
Yes.
Okay. Location of property 270 Washington Terrace. Type of structure proposed. Owner's name Victoria Hughes. Owner's address 270 Washington Terrace. When did you acquire this property? October 19th, 2018. Has application been filed with town clerk? Yes. Has any previous appeal been made? No. Section of bylaw of which relief is requested. Section 6.6-6, accessory apartment special permit. Reason for asking relief: my parents are elderly and are struggling with health issues. Mom is legally blind and they are becoming in need of more assistance every day. This in-law suite will allow us to give them the increasing assistance they require. This case was advertised in the Whitman-Hanson Express, on February 18th and February 25th. And sitting on the case will be myself, Mr. Cacciatore.
John,
Yep.
I know Ann Colby, so it'd be kind of hard.
Okay. All right. So it'll be myself, Mr. Keeman, Mr. Gometti, Mr. Blas, and Mr. Andrews. Let's go ahead and read the list of abutters, Mr. Blas. We'll get that into the record before we decide what to do. on
Very
this.
good. The following is a list of parties of interest in accordance with the requirements of the State Zoning Act for the property located at 270 Washington Terrace, book 50421, page 221. Scott Brearley and Yvonne Stockman, Joseph and Jean Croak, Lorna Holbrook, Rudolph and Marion Bishop, Steve, Maureen Ann Bono, Bonnie Royce and Pamela Settle, Kathleen Perazzo. And that's it.
Okay, all right. So Carol, I'm correct that we were notified the applicant is ill and cannot participate this evening?
Yes, she called me.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest to the board that we continue this case.
Mr. Chairman.
So our next meeting is on Monday, March 29th. We currently have cases scheduled at 7 and 7:30 on that. There's a possibility that the 7:30 case will need to be continued. The owner of that property travels and may or may not be able to participate. So I'm going to suggest that we schedule this for 7:45, just in case we don't have the 7:30 case. And, you know, if we have the 7:30 case, we won't start this till 8 o'clock, but at least that way we won't have to wait if we don't have a case at 7:30.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Andrews.
just a comment. I took a ride by this property yesterday.
Mr. Andrews, I don't want to take any, sorry to interrupt, but I don't want to take any testimony in any way on this.
All right, well, I'm just going to make a comment.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and just for the sake of the neighbors who are here as well, this is, when we continue a case like this, we, it's almost like a jury trial. We don't want to have some evidence one time that some people don't hear, and so I'd rather just carry everything over till next time. So can I hear a motion from the board to continue this to Monday, March 29th at 7:45?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Keeman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who seconded, Mr. Blas?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, all right. Mr. Keeman,
Yes.
Mr. Blas,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
yes,
Mr. Gilmetti,
Yes,
and myself, John Goldrosen, yes. So the hearing will now be Monday, March 29th at 7:45. You will, Mr. and Ms. Bono and Ms. Colby, you will not get another notice. There won't be any further notices in the paper. So just tune in then. And also, I'll be asking the cable company probably tomorrow to set up a new, it'll be a different Zoom number. So you'll need to go back into the Whitman Town site to the remote hearings page and sign up again to get the invitation for this, just like you did for this one.
Okay.
Give us at least a couple days to get that set up. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. So members of the board, we do have some minutes to go over.
what about the continued case? Was that 8 o'clock?
That's the 29th.
That was.
That's the 29th.
7:30.
I
But
thought
we
we had
just-
that tonight.
The other continued case we would put on to, the Winter Street case we would put on to the 29th anyway.
Oh, okay, I thought that was tonight.
Yeah, I didn't want to put a third one on if we didn't have to tonight, so I didn't put that on tonight. And Carol, I'll be in touch with you about how we can get in touch with that person. Maybe the applicant for Winter Street was traveling and, couldn't get onto a computer. But Carol, let's make sure he knows that he actually could connect just by telephone if it comes to that. Okay, minutes. I have the minutes for case number 17, which was 330 High Street, the final case number 17 of 2020 for the February 22nd meeting. This is the one where we wound up finally approving the accessory apartments. So we had, let's see, who was here on that? Myself, Mr. Andrews, Mr. Blas, Mr. Cacciatore, and Mr. Keenan. Any motion on that?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Second to the motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Cacciatore. Mr. Andrews,
Yes,
Mr. Cacciatore,
Yes.
Mr. Keeman,
Yes.
Mr. Blas,
Yes.
and myself, John Goldrosen, yes, 5-0. Then we have the minutes for 233 Winter Street, which all we did on that case was to continue it. We read the application into the record and the list of abutters, and then we continued it to March 29th. So same 5 people on that.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Keeman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Blas. Mr. Keeman,
Yes.
Mr. Blas,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
yes,
Mr. Cacciatore,
Yes.
and myself, John Goldrosen, yes, 5-0 on that one. And let's see, then we have
General minutes.
the general minutes for that meeting. Same 5 people.
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Blas. Is there a second?
second,
Second by Mr. Andrews. Mr. Blas,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
yes,
Mr. Keeman,
Yes.
Mr. Cacciatore,
Yes.
and myself, John Goldrosen, yes. So that is all that's before us, I think. So besides the meeting on March 29th, we now have 2 cases that are in for April. I haven't scheduled it yet, with some hope that maybe we'd be back in town hall by, like, if we hold it April 26th, that maybe we'd be able to hold it, but we'll know by the 29th what we're going to do on those cases.
Good.
All right. Everybody, you got your, I know some people said they got their shots. I got my first appointment for this coming Saturday. So I'll be on my way.
Well, good.
We're getting there. Okay, I'm going to is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Cacciatore. Is there a second?
Anybody?
Anybody want?
Second.
The vote on the motion, Mr. Cacciatore,
Yes.
Mr. Keeman,
Yes.
Mr. Blas,
Yes.
Mr. Gilmedi,
Yes.
and Mr. Andrews,
yes.
myself, John Goldrosen. We'll make that 6-0. Thank you, everybody, for
Night.
joining us. Good night. This